Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Karli Barnett. We are here at the First Alert Desk, and we want to give you a look at some of the top stories that we are working on for your weekend. And we have meteorologist Cutter Martin. He's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes because he does have some weather updates that we definitely want you to be aware of as we head into the weekend. But we also want to give you a look at some of our top stories. We have our reporters already working and getting everything ready to go. Quick programming note, we do have a 6 o'clock newscast tonight on CBS. You can also join us at 11 on CBS. And if you want to join us on Peachtree TV, you can see us at 9 and 10 o'clock there. And if you don't want to watch on TV, you can always watch all of our newscasts streaming live on our app or on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com. We want to make sure that we have you covered on all platforms, whether it's weather updates or news updates. So one of the stories that we are working on, this has been seemingly an ongoing issue, unfortunately, at the Fulton County Jail. If you want to look more into our coverage, if you go to our website, atlantanewsfirst.com, we have many more stories regarding the Fulton County Jail, but we have received word that another inmate has died. He died Friday, and we are just now getting his image and a few details surrounding that. So I'm actually pulling up my Twitter account here. I have his picture provided to us by the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, but we are told another inmate has died after being found unresponsive in a medical unit. This is according to the Sheriff's Office. Christopher Smith, this is the image that you're looking at right now. He was 34 years old. He was resuscitated and taken to Grady Memorial Hospital on Thursday, but he died at 5:30 in the morning yesterday. Smith was originally arrested back in October of 2019. We have more information on that on our website, but the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office is going to be performing an autopsy, they tell us. It's important to note here, as I said about previous coverage, several Fulton County inmates have died in the last year. On Thursday, the family of a 19-year-old inmate who died at the Atlanta City Detention Center back in July announced a lawsuit against the center, claiming the staff was negligent. And last Wednesday, the county reached a $4 million settlement with the family of a Fulton County jail inmate who was, quote, eaten alive, as his family put it, by insects and bed bugs back in September of 2022. So the Department of Justice is actually investigating the jail's living conditions. In early August, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners gave the county manager permission to find out how to fund a new jail for almost $1.7 billion. So in other words, this has warranted at least an investigation by the Department of Justice, and we have the Board of Commissioners looking to how they can actually fund a new jail. So unfortunately, the passing of Christopher Smith is yet the latest in a series of incidents that we have been covering surrounding the Fulton County Jail and Fulton County facilities, as is the Atlanta City Detention Center as well. So we have more on this tonight in our newscast. We also have more background on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com, if you want to read a little bit more about this particular story. Now, another story that, of course, we have been following are the possible Georgia indictments regarding former President Donald Trump, as well as members of his team, so to speak. And we've seen the images downtown. We've seen these barricades popping up. We've seen the road closures. We've been reporting on this at Atlanta News First about these possible indictments that will be coming down. So today we have another piece of information, another clue as to what could be coming up later on this week. Former Georgia Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan has told CNN that he was told to appear before a Fulton County grand jury this upcoming Tuesday. He says he will be testifying how former President Trump and others tried to overturn the 2020 presidential election in the state. Duncan, he's also a CNN contributor. He says that this story is important for all Americans to hear. I also want to pull up here, he did tweet this information out directly. So not only do we have what he has told the outlet CNN, but we do have from his Twitter account his own personal words saying that this is what he has been called to do this Tuesday. All right. Here, that is for you there. He says, I can confirm I've been requested to testify before the Fulton County grand jury Tuesday. I look forward to answering their questions around the 2020 election. And he goes on to say Republicans should never let honesty be mistaken for weakness. So at this point, we have known that the Fulton County District Attorney, Fani Willis, has indicated that if indictments were to come down, that would happen in August. Then we see those barricades, like I was showing you, popping up in downtown, receiving word that something will be happening. These went up this past week, and now we know that this upcoming Tuesday, according to former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, that he has been called to testify. So we're going to have a lot more information for you tonight. We are going to hear from former Lieutenant Governor Duncan, and that will be coming up a little later on this evening. Now, we have a local connection here to a story that we have been covering. You've seen these images. This is a national story, but unfortunately, what we have seen is just absolutely devastating. The wildfires happening in Hawaii. These are just a few images of what we have seen, but it's just completely devastating what is happening. But we do have a local connection, and reporter Joshua Skinner is working on this for us. J.R. Ritchie was the Braves' late first round, 35th overall pick back in 2022. So he spent a lot of his childhood in Hawaii, even training there from time to time. So he is now raising money to help people on the ground in response to these fires. So he's actually in Florida right now rehabbing an injury, but Joshua is speaking to him over Zoom. He's going to have his interview coming up about the work that he is doing, his connection to Hawaii, and of course how he and the other Braves players are all giving back. So this has been something that we've been following, and these images just don't even look real. But we do have people that are stepping up to help. Our parent company, Gray Television, is also partnering with the Salvation Army to help deliver supplies to Maui and to those residents displaced, to the tourists that were displaced. But now we have our local Braves player who is stepping up to the plate, so to speak, to use a baseball term. He is helping to give back to Hawaii, where he says he spent a good part of his life, and it's very near and dear to his heart. So we have a lot of news to cover for you tonight. Plenty of stories still ahead. And this is just a small little preview of some of the things that you can expect. And something else that we want to turn to, of course, is the weather. We're going to go ahead and take a look outside. Look at that shot.
Storm.
You can see the rain coming down. And Cutter, this is twofold, you're telling us. It's not just the storms, it's also the heat. That's what we also have to really be mindful of.
Yeah, you'll have the heat, and then if you're lucky or unlucky enough to be impacted by one of the what is now strong to severe storms moving through Metro Atlanta, you'll get a quick cool down, but that comes with a cost, a price to pay, so to speak, and that is the risk of damaging straight line winds and possibly some hail up to about the size of quarters. Again, not everyone is seeing severe weather. I think, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and this particular live stream tells the forecast. There is plenty of dry areas, many dry areas, I should say. And you can see the connector there, 7585, Midtown Atlanta, in between the downpours, but there on the eastern horizon, a new downpour developing just east of the city of Atlanta, and we do now have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. This is primarily along and south of I-20, so from Atlanta to the west end, Bankhead area, down to Hartsfield, Jackson, Atlanta International Airport, also Riverdale, East Point, Camp Creek Parkway area, maybe Decatur, mainly south of Decatur though, back towards Panthersville and Redan, some of our South DeKalb communities. That is where the risk of storms is going to be greatest here over the next, let's say, 45 minutes to an hour. Now, there are more storms developing back to the north and west, and we very well could see these storms move back into Atlanta even after round number 1 leaves. So again, I'm First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin. You may have tuned in on AtlantaNewsFirst.com, First Alert Weather App, Atlanta News First app, and we actually just sent an alert as I pull out my phone to the Atlanta News First app, pushing to our live coverage. You can see right there at the top, to storms. What we're talking about, what we're tracking, it is storms. Now that the heat is starting to wane with clouds bubbling up, showers and thunderstorms moving through metro Atlanta, and a couple of these storms are severe, and I think that is the bigger risk now going into the evening. We have reached the hottest point of the day. We have now passed it, and we now have storms moving into metro Atlanta. In fact, many North Georgia communities are impacted by storms this evening, so first alert, that's going to be something we're tracking for the next few hours. The good news, though, if you have any later evening plans, maybe 8, 9, 10 p.m., we're going to see some improvement in the forecast. All right, going to switch over radar, take you to a different vantage point, and we'll get down to the neighborhood level, track these storms as they're moving through. Again, this is a loop over the past 30 to 45 minutes. Two areas in particular dealing with strong to severe storms. One cluster is moving through the northern half of Cleburne County in Alabama. This will impact Haralson County, northern Carroll County, back towards the Paulding County area, also portions of Bartow County, and closer into the city of Atlanta, into portions of now moving out of Cobb County, northeastern Coweta County, all of Clayton County, northern portions of Pike and Spalding counties, over into Henry County, Rockdale County, and DeKalb County. These two showers and thunderstorms, this is where the bulk of the activity is right now. These two red boxes is where the nastiest of the weather will be over the next 45 minutes to an hour. Into the city of Atlanta, new severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 5:30 p.m. Portions of Clayton, DeKalb, Fayette, Fulton, Henry, and Spalding counties. Wind gusts to 60, 65 miles an hour in that range, the greatest threat here. We'll track that in just a moment. And then our second severe thunderstorm warning, portions of Calhoun, Cherokee, and Cleburne counties. All of those are Alabama counties, not Calhoun County, Georgia, and not Cherokee County, Georgia. That warning in effect until 4:45 p.m. Central Time, or 5:45 p.m. Eastern. Again, hail to the size of quarters with this storm in particular, but also that risk of 55 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts, a little bit heightened with that particular cell. So again, we're streaming across many platforms right now. If you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, you can navigate over to YouTube Live on YouTube. Of course, Atlanta News First is the account to like and to follow. And if you do have the weather questions, comments, concerns, you need clarification on how storms could impact your community and your plans this evening, YouTube is the place to be, and I will be monitoring that feed. Just out of shot here, I have a whole other computer monitor dedicated to our live stream right now. It's going to be monitoring that feed, answering questions as they come in. Now let's put a track on that Atlanta cell, and then we'll get to the hour-by-hour forecast. Again, bear with me. We'll put a tracker on this, moving to the east-southeast. Not moving all that fast, about 25 miles per hour or so, but new storms are developing ahead of the main line, so do keep that in mind. Moving east-southeast into McDonough, 517. The Experiment community by 528. Also, portions of Conyers, Porterdale, Covington, Flovilla, Newborn. Most, if not all, of these communities impacted by showers and thunderstorms over the next several minutes. Going to zoom inside the perimeter. Of course, we do have storms, even if they're not severe, north of this particular cluster. Right now, it's pouring. Buckhead, the Lindbergh area, Smyrna, Vinings. Buckhead, it's about to rain again. Here in West Midtown, just sprinkles, but we're hearing the thunder, seeing the lightning. La Vista into DeKalb County, Stone Mountain, Tucker, Dorville, Chambly, Tucker areas, North Druid Hills, Clarkston going to get some rain right now, just sprinkling in Decatur, Eastlake, Beulah Heights, Glen Haven, Grisham Park, Lakewood Heights. It is pouring. East Point right now, lots of wind and rain. And again, we do have that risk of severe weather. It's level 1 out of 5. Again, we're going to switch over this graphic for you. It'll help tell that story. Greatest risk of severe weather north and west of Metro Atlanta, even though our only warning in the metro right now is actually on the south side. Ingredients are in place, especially on the north and northwest sides of town, to have a few severe thunderstorms. That is through early evening. So graphic is now updated, has the latest information. Today's risk of severe weather, it's actually been expanded even more to the east and southeast from when I checked it just 45 minutes to an hour ago. Anyone in yellow risk 2 out of 5 of severe weather this evening. Wind gusts 60 to 65 miles per hour, the greatest threat. Hail up to about the size of quarters, frequent lightning, and very heavy rain with the strongest storms. And keep in mind, any storm that develops this evening will be capable of producing hail up to the size of maybe peas, so small hail, with even the non-severe storms. and also that risk of some damaging wind gusts up to about 60 to 65 miles per hour. That's reserved really for the strongest of storms. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring you that hour by hour forecast. Again, this is a live look. This time the northwest side with storms moving in from the north and west. Marietta Square right now, it is somewhat gloomy, and I'm seeing raindrops flying by the camera lens. We'll go ahead and take off that banner there, and keep in mind that we do have that risk of severe weather in the forecast through about sunset, and then we'll see some improvement. I think for the later evening plans, 8:30, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. for sure, that risk of severe weather begins to diminish. So scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms through the early dinner plans, any late afternoon, early evening plans you have. Keep in mind, storms certainly could be of impact. Even if not severe, they could impact the early evening plans. Good idea to have at least one way to be alerted to severe weather impacting your neighborhood, your community. First Alert Weather app. Simple, free, and easy download. Upper right-hand corner of the screen, QR code. You can scan that, but if you probably are streaming this on a mobile device, so after the stream is over, or you can multitask here to search Atlanta News First or First Alert Weather in your app or Google Play Store, and again, you'll be alerted. If you set up your settings correctly, make sure you hit follow me so we know where you are and who to alert. But also make sure you have your severe weather alerts turned on in the settings menu to make sure you are alerted to storms approaching your area. Now, here's the positive. We talked about some of the negative aspects of today's storms. Positive, 75. We've already cooled. Airport impacted by storms. Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport back down into the mid-70s right now. Upper 70s, Marietta impacted by storms earlier and some more moving in from the north and west. Lawrenceville, 88, ahead of the storms. Athens, well ahead of the storms, reporting a temperature in the lower 90s. And, of course, it feels, with all the mugginess in the air, it feels much, much hotter than that. So, again, keep in mind storms and impact this evening. Right now, though, it is pretty quiet here at the station. It is quiet east of Atlanta, and I'll go ahead and pull radar back up. So not everyone is impacted by storms at the same time. It's really Atlanta and points north and west at the immediate time. But as we get deeper into the evening, I do think that there will be more impact off to the south and to the east. Let's talk about mountain communities as well. Again, these storms are non-severe, at least in our Georgia counties. A new severe thunderstorm warning for Clay County are only North Carolina County in our viewing area. We'll put a tracker on this one. This one is moving a little bit more speedily off to the east and to the east-southeast. So, it may arrive a little quicker, but it'll also move out a little bit quicker. So putting the latest track on this, it's almost out of Clay County. Could approach northern portions of Clayton and Rabun County. But keep in mind, the warned part of the storm, the gustiest winds likely north of the state line, not in the Atlanta News First viewing area. Nonetheless, Dillard community, that's in Rabun County, Mountain City, in and near Rabun County. The Nice community, Shookville, 5:30 to 5:45, 6 p.m., probably the stormiest for far eastern Clay County, basically right now. Over the next 15 to 20 minutes, it moves in, and then 5:30 to 6, northern portions of Rabun County, mainly north of Lake Rabun, Lake Burton, north of Clayton proper, at least the nastiest of the storms. Mineral Bluff, Blue Ridge, Helen Ivy Log, storms not severe, but steady rain, at times heavy rain with some of these cells. Thunder, lightning, at least occasionally. There's some folks are seeing frequent thunder and lightning. And right now we're watching storms moving through the city of Atlanta. Severe thunderstorm warning. This is moving into through South DeKalb. It'll approach Rockdale County over the next 15 to 30 minutes. Henry County, it's right along the Clayton and Henry County line, moving towards McDonough, even as far south as Locust Grove. So keep in mind, there is still showers and thunderstorms. There are still showers and thunderstorms moving through. And I'm going to switch over radar modes. And we'll switch over to the airport. I think we're going to get a better sampling of exactly what winds are doing in this cell if I switch over radar. So again, bear with me here. We may not have the Atlanta airport radar. Unfortunately, it looks like we don't. But we can still get a pretty decent feed and a sense of what winds are doing. And notice how they're in the green here. Gusty, straight-line winds. No obvious signs of rotation. But we're occasionally, pretty easily gusting 40 to 50. And occasionally I've seen data suggest that winds are gusting closer to 60, 65 miles per hour. The strongest winds, again, 26, 16... 20, but I think radar in this case is underestimating. That's about the minimum with winds here, gusting 20 to 40, but I've seen other data suggest certainly much stronger than that, and we can time out the strongest of the winds. pushing into northern Henry County, Forest Park, Conley, Allenwood, PM Rex, Stockbridge, Scarborough Crossroads. Getting into northern Henry County, that is where the strongest of the winds will be. Keep in mind the storm will produce heavy rain, frequent lightning, and at least breezy winds. You saw that area of 20 to 40 mile an hour winds over a much wider area, but the nastiest of the weather moving into northern Henry County. Again, time now is 5:02. Reminder, First Alert Weather app. You can go about your plans this evening. Don't necessarily cancel them, but just be aware of the weather around you. First Alert Weather app, a good tool to have. Also, you can always check the forecast at AtlantaNewsFirst.com. And a reminder, we're not leaving you. We're watching storms in the Weather Center where we have a complete set of data, and we'll be live at 6 p.m. First Alert Forecast, top of the newscast, tracking storms now. We have more heat tomorrow, another heat advisory. And then we're also tracking the renewed chance of showers and storms, so less of an impact from the storms and maybe more from the heat on our Sunday and our Monday. Full forecast coming up here in just a bit. Again, keep alerts turned on in the First Alert Weather app just in case you're looking at a stormier Midtown Atlanta with even some sunshine reflecting off those buildings, sun and storms in the early evening forecast. Keep an eye on the forecast and alerts turned on in the First Alert Weather app. We'll see you again in less than an hour.